So like Tamar said, we're going to start kind of talking about the impacts of AI on diverse communities, specifically women. Give us your expert insight. How does AI perpetuate sexism, and why does this happen?
Okay, maybe I'll start with an example. A few months ago, we were in a meeting, and one of the people that was presented a picture of a project manager. And that was a picture of a woman. And we have a project manager on that project that is a woman. And we said, oh, it looks exactly like her. And he said, yeah, it's on purpose. I asked the AI to draw a project manager, and I got her. And we were all, what? You asked AI to draw a project manager, and it drew a woman and not a man? And he said, no, of course. I said, please draw a woman project leader. And then at that point, I stopped listening for the meeting because I kept asking AI to draw a project manager. And I got a man and another man and another man and another man. And then I said, okay, enough with the project manager. Let's have a developer. And it was a man and a man and a man. And then I said, a teacher. Guess what? A man and a man and a man.
Teacher, really?
Yeah. And then I said, art teacher.
Woman.
15 tries, and it was men still.
Art teacher.
Yeah.
Art teacher was men.
The only way I managed to get a woman was when I asked a social worker. So this is our reality, right? And I've tried, you think I just spent the hour in the meeting. No, the entire day I kept asking AI questions. So AI also impact your productivity because I didn't work that day. So it's a real problem. Why does it happen? So everyone likes to say, yeah, of course, because this is the data, this is the world. AI is practicing on text. Some of the text is sexist, and this is what you get. AI is using history, and yeah, we have less leaders, women leaders in history, so that's what you get. Also, the teams that are designing AI are mostly men, so this is what you get. But this is something that we have to fix. We have to continue and test our AI systems for diversity overall and make sure that they are not biased. Otherwise, we'll never get out of this situation.
Now that we're sufficiently terrified, let's talk about Gen AI. So generative AI, it's becoming increasingly accessible, right? I think we've all gone on ChatGPT and said, make me a picture, make me a video. It's also risky. So what measures is Checkpoint taking to ensure that employees use AI safely and ethically in their daily work?
Okay. So let's start with the story. Why is it risky? Let's explain why is it risky. So I'll give you another example, and actually will be connected to the previous discussion as well. So a few months ago, my husband and daughter were preparing an apple cake. And I was doing my emails, and they needed vinegar for their apple cake. Don't ask me why, this is what the recipe, because everyone asks me, why do you need vinegar? I don't know, this is what the recipe said. And so they told me to go and bring vinegar from the store. I was doing my emails, nothing will stop me when I'm doing my emails, and said, no way, just use lemon juice. And my husband dared to say that I'm wrong, which is a big, big, big mistake. So I went to my best friend, not my husband, ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you just replace lemon juice with vinegar in an apple pie? And it says, yeah, of course you can. So I was very excited that I was right, but I was upset about something. When I asked the question, I asked in a gender-free form, in Hebrew. But ChatGPT answered in a female form. And then I was like, why? So I showed that to my daughter, who is a bigger feminist than I am. And she said, you know what, let's ask him about making a shelf. And so we asked, how can you make a shelf? And it answered in a masculine way. So we were so upset. But because ChatGPT is such a good friend, I decided to give him another chance. So, or her actually, right? So I decided to give another chance, and I asked, hey, why when I ask about the cake, you answered in a feminine form? And he said, oh, of course, it's not about a cake. It's because a few months ago, you prepared a presentation on women leadership in a session. So I knew you were a woman. And then I was very upset. And so I asked ChatGPT, hey, what else do you know about me? And I got a list of 20 items about myself. And I work in cybersecurity for a living, right? So I did my best throughout the year not to share any information. So since then, whenever I meet someone new, the first question I ask is not tell me about yourself. I ask ChatGPT to tell me about you, and let's see what we'll find. Why am I telling you this long story? Because ChatGPT and other AI applications are collecting a lot of information about us. And there is one thing on the personal level, but then when you work on an organization and you love the productivity of ChatGPT, honestly, I'm an addict. But then you start sharing information, and the more you share information, the more productivity you get. But guess what? Information about your company is being exposed. And some companies might say, hey, you know what, ChatGPT is okay, but what about DeepSeek? Maybe not. So we need to make sure that our employees are using in tools that are allowed. And then another questions come to mind about how are we using these tools? Are we using them to build presentation? Are we sharing our code? Are we downloading code? There are a lot of risks coming with that. I'll give you another example. We deployed our Gen AI protection tool in one of the hospitals. And our tool provides full visibility on which Gen AI applications your team is using and for what purposes. And that hospital find that the nurses in the hospital kept using it to ask medical questions. Now, it's not just about providing information about a specific person, but they didn't want people to be treated with ChatGPT, because if I would want to be treated by ChatGPT, I wouldn't go to the hospital. I would ask my good friend, right? So you need to make sure that your employees are using it for the right reasons, for the right cause, and using the right tools, and not sharing information. And today, we and other companies are building tools to be able to provide you this visibility, but also protection to block any such data losses.
Wow, scary also, thanks. So like you've touched on, really, AI is transforming cybersecurity at an unprecedented rate. What do you think the role is of AI in the future, evolving how we protect against threats?
So, in fact, we were using AI for over a decade to protect against threats. Everything we do, all of our engines are based AI. But now we have Gen AI and can do new things. The reason AI is so important is because attackers can use so many variations of, let's say, phishing attack. They can have all these different emails. They can have different sites. And if it's a site that we already know that is malicious, we can tell, hey, you know what, let's block it. But what if it's a site that we saw for the first time? Then how do we block it? This is where we use AI to look at hundreds, maybe thousands of different indicators to be able to predict if it's malicious or not without knowing for sure. So this is one use of AI. Another use of AI is accelerating the work of the security teams. We know there is a significant shortage of security team members, and they need to manage much more complex attack every day. And accelerating the work, as we are accelerating the work of people on the finance or marketing or in each different industry, we are accelerating the work of the security teams, doing more and more work for them using AI and letting them be involved in the more complex scenarios.
So we're almost out of time, but I want to bring us back to diversity. We've seen kind of global trends of diversity and inclusion being considered less and less important in the business world. You're part of Checkpoint's Diversity Forum. Tell us, why is this important? Why do we need this?
So first, at Checkpoint, we stand behind diversity and inclusion. We believe it's very important. First, it's important for the business, right? I believe that diverse team will be able to bring better results. People will have different point of views, and eventually we'll get more innovation throughout that. Second, it's important for us as a society, right? People are deserved equal opportunities, and we are actively working in order to make it happen. Actively working meaning not just waiting that we'll get people that are different from us, but actually looking for them, mentoring them, helping them grow in our company. So we think it's very important.
Thank you so much for that slightly terrifying interview, Nataly.